We're here on the Fight Network getting set for UFC 196 coming up this Saturday night, headlining the Fight Pass card at 6:30 Eastern Time. Two of the toughest veterans within the UFC's lightweight ranks. Jim Miller taking on the man who joins us right now, Diego Sanchez, a fight a lot of people are looking forward to. Diego, how are you feeling fight week going into this fight with Jim Miller, and a lot of high expectations for this one from your fan base?
You know what? I'm feeling great. I really am feeling great. After making the cut down to 145 for my last fight in an international fight with a top-level guy like Ricardo Lamas, my confidence is high, and I just feel good because I'm able to feed my body some nutrition, and I'm cutting. Right now I'm 10 pounds overweight, but I'm cutting 20 pounds, opposed to 30 pounds. And so, I feel great. I feel good, and my energy's high, and I'm rested, and I'm injury-free, and I'm healthy, and I'm just excited. I'm excited to go in there and fight a guy like Jim Miller. He's just, you look at the guy's record. He's fought the who's who, and I know he has he's found ways to win in the past. He's dangerous with submissions, and that's something that I think it plays right into my game because I've never been submitted, and I've grappled with the best of them. Marcelo Garcia, hold wins over Pablo Popovich. I've trained with the Rivero brothers, and when it comes to grappling, I'm one of the top level grapplers. Even though my record in the mixed martial arts industry doesn't really display as much grappling as I probably should, but I am a good grappler, and I'm excited to fight with this guy.
Diego, you mentioned confidence and energy levels. When we watch you fight, we would never think that confidence is ever any kind of challenge for you, or fear, or anything else. Anything like that. Talk to me about what you're like emotionally leading into a fight.
Well, man, I've gone through a lot of ups and downs in my career, and mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, everything's all tied in together, and it's about finding the harmony and the balance between all of those things. And the psyche of a fighter can be determined by how he is able to handle a win, how he's able to handle a loss. And when you fight long enough, the way I have been fighting for so long, you're gonna have great fights. You're going to have good fights. You're going to have some fights where, your luck is just down and out, where you eat something that you shouldn't eat, or where you get sick, or you're just injured going into the fight. So, it's just a matter of variables that can go into this fight game that can affect your psyche as a fighter. And for me, this time around, I've really been able to embrace it because the last training camp, I was, I just was facing such a hard weight cut, and I was just in a position where I was coming off of a 1.5 year layoff due to injuries, and so, I did have ring rust, and it was, I hadn't been in there in a long time, and so this time around, my confidence was just really high. I got back to training the way that I did, that got me the success in the UFC, and so my wrestling is on point, my grappling is on point, my conditioning is there. I've been running the mountains with Greg Jackson, and I just feel very, very confident going into this fight. It's just an exciting fight because I know Jim Miller's not going to be one to run away the whole fight, and he's gonna go in there and try to kick me out. He said he wants to cut my face with his elbows and choke me unconscious. So for him to do that, he's going to have to come forward, and that's good for me.
Diego, was it an instant decision you made after the Lamas fight to go back to lightweight? Because here you made the cut. You made 145 pounds. I mean, the championship weight. You go 3 rounds with a very, very tough Ricardo Lamas. I mean, I think a lot of people looked at that as a moral victory, the fact that you went through that fight, and many people observed you looked very good in that fight. Was there ever consideration to sticking around, or was it just too much of a burden on your body getting down to that weight class?
Well, no, you know what? A lot of things went into the decision, and you know, I haven't totally ruled out going back down to 145 because that was one of my goals for that fight was to really to win a fight in all four divisions in the UFC, 185, 170, 155, 45, and be the only guy in the UFC to do that. You know, so I wanted to achieve that goal. I didn't, but the thing is this, you know, for me to make 145, I still could do it, but it's going to take me a good, I'm thinking like 12 weeks, 10 weeks at the least. You know, it's more of a strenuous, harder, longer process. It takes more time. It takes more discipline, and it's very tough. But I think, you know, I've been working with the Cerebrum Health Center in Dallas. They work with NFL players on just rebalancing of the right and the left hemispheres of the brain, and just, you know, they do all kinds of diagnostical tests on your brain and balance tests and eye reaction speed, and there's so many different things that it all starts with the brain. And you know, being a fighter who's been in some wars, and you know, I've never been knocked unconscious in training or a fight. So I wanted to go to this brain center, take care of my brain, you know, and track my brain and know how my brain is doing, you know. And so I've been doing this and taking care of myself because, you know, I want to be there. I want to be there mentally for my children and my grandchildren. So, you know, that's one aspect of the fight, is taking care of your brain and being a contact sport fighter. And so right now I've been doing that and working with these guys out in Dallas. One of the things that they've told me is that just how bad the dehydration is for the brain. And so, you know, that's one of the reasons why I went back to 155. I'm going to continue to fight at 55 now for a little bit longer, and you know, we'll see. I'm gonna continue to try to voice my opinion to Dana White and Lorenzo about bringing in the 165-pound division and the 175-pound division, and getting rid of the 170-pound division. I think that would be the best bet for the fighters. With now that they don't let us do IVs, and the way that they're just the way that the way that the sport is going, they don't want us to be cutting too much weight. So if they want us to do that, they need to give us more options, and at least every 10 pounds be a weight class every 10 pounds. You know, 15 pounds is too much between weight classes.
Agreed.
If they want us to be healthy, and that's what they want. They want us to be healthy. They brought in USADA. They want us to be drug-free. They want us to be healthy. Well, bring in, you know, make it at least fair for us welterweights and lightweights, because it's not fair. You got the 125ers, the 135ers, the 145ers. Why are the little guys get 10 pounds, and we have to make the big jump to 15 pounds? Uh-huh. It's not fair, because there's more guys that are in the average size between 170 and 175. Those are the guys that are the more average size, 180, 190, you know, and they're cutting down. And it's like, you know what? It's like, dude, 10 pounds is, you know, you're going to get more super fights like the Aldo McGregor fight. You know, I mean, you get the McGregor Dos Anjos fight. You're going to get champion versus champion super fights. It sells. You know, it sells. It sells pay-per-views. Why are we not doing it? Yeah. Why are we not having every 10 pounds? You know, it makes sense for me. I would fight at 165. I would rather cut less weight, dehydrate less, as long as the rest of the fighters were on board with this, and they were not cutting as much weight, and everybody was fighting healthier. I think this will be really good for the sport. I'm going to continue to fight for this, as you know, as long as I'm fighting. I want to fight at 165. I want that's the fight. That's the weight class. I want to fight healthy at 165 pounds. I know there's a lot of a lot of welterweights that would rather fight at 165 because you got these huge guys. Like I'm sitting right next to Brandon Thatch, and he's a monster, you know, and he's so tall and long and huge, and you know, and then there's guys, you know, that are, you know, that are just, you know, smaller guys that would rather, you know, okay, let's fight 55 instead of, you know, there's a lot of options, but what I'm trying to say is, you know, like let's care about the fighter's health.
Yeah.
And 15 pounds is just too much. It is. It's just too much.
I think you're right. And, you know, you're talking about your health, you know, and taking care of yourself going forward. We look at the way that you fought, and I did a breakdown on you before your last fight about your gameness and your heart and your willingness to fight through the fire. And fans have always loved that about you, and that's something very special and unique about you. How do you balance that with taking care of yourself and protecting your future, but also proudly going into battle the way that you do?
Well, I think the first step in taking care of that is your training and how you train, because, you know, it's the training rounds that are going to give you the long core brain trauma, the hardcore, long, extensive brain trauma. Is there's a repetition, a repetitive bouncing of that brain up against the skull. And so, like, you know, you got to train smart. You got to train with the right partners. You got to train, you know, with people who will work with you. You got to, you know, you can't take the head trauma. It's the head trauma in the training, in my opinion. You know, if I fight once, you know, every 4 months, 5 months, twice a year, you know, and I go to battle and I take some shots. Well, you know what? I was asked this on Twitter the other day, and I said, you know what? I said this. Every human being is composed genetically. They're different. Every human being is different genetically. They're made, and I believe, being a believer in creation and in a greater power and destiny. And I believe in God, you know, and He has planned for everybody. You know, I think that guys like Usain Bolt, yeah, God created this guy with a body that could run really fast. I feel that, you know, I found my calling as a fighter. And God created me with a brain that could handle these hits, you know, and be okay, you know, but at the same time, you know, as I've gotten older, it's like, you know, I'm smarter about the way I try to avoid the damage to the brain. And that's one thing that I'm going to do, you know, after I'm done fighting, is I'm going to continue to talk to these fighters. And I really want to be an advocate for brain health, because, you know, because I'm the guy that, you know, was crazy in high school football, banging my head against a locker, you know, putting a dent in the locker, Bill Goldberg style, you know, banging my head against the door because, you know, like that. It's not good, you know, because as you get older, the accumulation of those both adds up, and so, you know, but when you're young, you don't care. You're in there, you're like, let's get it on, let's do 2 more rounds, come on, you know, I'm in there sparring with freaking light heavyweights, sparring with heavyweights. Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, and yeah, I could, dude. I never get headaches or anything. Like, you know, I don't have. You know, I know some guys do. You know, I've talked to some of my buddies who have problems, who have issues. You know, and I think that, like I said, everybody's built different.
Yeah. Diego, we're really looking forward to this fight. It's going down this Saturday night, 6:30 Eastern on Fight Pass. Jim Miller, Diego Sanchez. I don't think it's possible for this fight to disappoint. Diego, thank you so much for this time, and all the best at UFC 196.
Hey, thank you. You guys have a good day.
Thanks, Diego.
Thanks, Diego. Catch our UFC 196 pre-fight show this Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, leading into the prelim card from Las Vegas.